take everything you thought you knew about this brand and throw it away. It's like they have completely reinvented themselves, and I am very impressed with what they've done. Welcome everybody, Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV, down here in the Forest River Secret Development Bunker, apparently getting my hands on the first batch of 2026 Ibex models. This is a brand that I think a lot of people had kind of written off, or you thought you already knew what they had to offer. Historically, they had these small, nichey, weird kind of pseudo overlander sort of floor plans, and those days are done. The best way I can describe Ibex right now is they took everything that they were doing with Surveyor and Arpod, which are sisters to this brand, and they mashed the two together to create a new level of something that they've never really had available before. And this is packed with really, really sharp features. So things that I really like a taller ceiling. It's a 6'10" ceiling clearance. When you're in a private bedroom model like this, you can get things like 50 amp and second AC, but every single one of them will have at least one 15,000 BTU air conditioner, an enclosed underbelly that is heated, forced air directly with radiant barrier layering going on, as well as 12-volt holding tank pads. You've also, speaking of 12-volt stuff, we've got 12-volt smart TV. We have 400 watts of factory standard solar available if you go with the Black Canyon Beast Mode package or something like that, the Swamp Thing package. But you can also, they're all prepped for a 2,000 watt inverter that's also included in that package. And speaking of Beast Mode, I think this company's done the best job of bringing people's attention to the ability to have an optional better suspension package on this that we're going to talk a whole lot more about. Now, this floor plan obviously could be a really solid family-friendly floor plan with the rear but open kind of bunk scenario, leaving it look and feel nice and large. I always like to share the good with the bad. There's things about this camper I don't like. There's things about this camper you might not like. Like personally, I don't like the fact that they call a 32-foot camper a 25 model number, but we're gonna, that's the things that I like to point out in my videos so that you know exactly what you're looking at. And if you appreciate how we point that stuff out, hit that subscribe button. Let us know we're doing a good job. Let's get in there. Now, as we're stepping in, something I've noticed is they've adapted the stable steps with the extra large top platform for both entry doors, which is kind of nice. Both entry doors also getting a little bit larger entry door handle. And before I forget, they are using Asdel in the Ibex product directly below the fiberglass. So, you know, there's a lot of welded aluminum cage construction here. Now, I like to kind of put you, I kind of call it in the driver's seat, and I don't like to use fisheye wide angle lenses if I can absolutely help it. So like if you visit one of our stores or any RV dealer, I don't care, and you see this RV in person when you walk in, this is pretty much what it's going to look like right here. It's definitely in the HOA brown tones family. I don't have 100% clarity. I would be surprised if you couldn't get an optional hide-a-bed over there. I'm not entirely sure. We will try to get you some insights on that in a little bit here. But generally speaking, for the most part, it's going to look and feel pretty darn big in here for a couple reasons. The slide floor matching the main floor is one of those things that I think always makes it visibly look larger. The second thing is this has a taller ceiling, even as compared to other RVs that have a little bit taller ceiling. This is a 6'10" floor to ceiling clearance. And you can obviously see the central air ducting running through here. By default, you have a single 15,000 BTU air conditioner, but on Ibex models now, where you get a private front bedroom, you have the ability to outfit it with things like 50 amp service and a second AC as desired. In terms of seasonality, sometimes people love to ask that four seasons question. If you watch my videos, you know I despise the phrasing four seasons RVing. I think it's very misleading to customers. That's your central vacuum system down there, by the way. But essentially what I can tell you is Ibex will be a very comfortable extended season RV. And the only reason I can't really say any more than that is because they haven't actually done hard weather testing. So I can't give you hard guarantees because I can't make a promise they haven't. And if some other dealer says they can, BS, call them on it. Now, there's things about this camper I really like and really don't. Some people are not going to like the fact that it does not have a propane oven below that 3-burner stovetop, nor does it have the option for one. It's just not on the docket. Instead, what they do is something a little bit different from what they do in a lot of your Surveyor and R-Pods. They give you that air fryer convection microwave 3-in-1 combo, but they put it up in a more traditional microwave location. They don't put it down at the location of your kneecaps. Now, also, I like the 12-volt TV system that they have, is 12-volt smart TV that they have factory standard here, but I suspect some people will say they put the dinette and the sofa in the wrong positions as compared to the orientation of the television. Um, it's possible. There's an outside chance we might be able to get one of these on basically built out for you with a sofa in the slide, but they do not offer a dinette in place of that sofa back there. There's just not quite enough room to close the slide if you stick a dinette back there, as far as I understand it. So there might, I can't promise right now. We'd have to call and ask. There might be some options to change some furniture around in that way. They are using my kind of nerd preferred theater seat system, though, where you do have the fold up down center armrest. So if you want a little bit of cuddle compliance instead of population control, then you can get it. It's totally up to you. They're also being really good about keeping power outlets of all kinds of varieties, mostly anywhere that you will sit or sleep. They're making those readily accessible. On the rear bunk room here, got to give Grand Design Transcend some credit for basically pioneering this, essentially a couple's rear living room with a bunk room tacked onto the back of it and doing it very well and successfully. Everybody else has basically been an offshoot of that original Transcend model, but it doesn't matter. They're here now. I like the don't roll out of bed safety gates. I really appreciate the, what do I want to say here? My brain just paused. Oh, separate curtains for the upper and lower bunks. Where that might be really handy is like this upper bunk obviously has its own AC vent, so that's always going to be climate controlled. But what you could probably do is not close off the foot area of the lower bunk to still be able to get some airflow back there. That's something that I could actually see being really, really useful. Now, the lower bunk on the side of the cabinet had some USB plugs. Yep, they're up here. Let me give you a look at these real quick. If I get this curtain out of the way, you can see that you've got some handy USB chargers up there as well. And then we start cracking her open for a little bit more of those deeper details. I like how we get this storage like double, I want to say closet, but that's also kind of my knock against this. This is some potentially good storage space, but it wasn't really maximized by not having a clothing rod in there. Or if you're not going to do the clothing rod, it needs at least one extra shelf per cavity. I think that it's too tall to be maximally useful unless you come up with your own little storage solutions. I do like how that bed is all like metallic framework, though. That's a nice touch. And there's full mega storage going on there below that bunk area, by the way. You might notice a little swivel stand, cup holder, jobs, essentially. Those things obviously can just pop in, pop out. Again, you do have the cuddle compliance theater seat situation here. I'm pretty sure there is a hide-a-bed option swaption. I need to double check that. Again, with this being the 2026 update generation, and basically I walked in a somewhat blind to what I was going to see today. Some of those things I'm just basing on experience and or estimation, and we always want to double check everything. That is a 10 cubic foot, 12 volt compressor fridge, by the way. I want to make sure I kind of point out the size of those, just simply due to the fact that more and more manufacturers have stopped essentially doing the larger 10 cubic foot fridges and quietly gone back to some 8 cubic foots. I meant to have this open for you. Apologies. Not that you haven't ever seen the inside of something like this before, most likely, but hey, here we go. We're on video to see it, right? Did you notice how the backsplash behind the oven suddenly magically transformed into the sink cover over here for the farm sink? I really appreciate how they gave us that pop-up power tower over there, so you don't have to get the super long cord appliances, which frankly are about impossible to find. And we've got the, I call it the hammerhead sink, where you've got either the waterfall edge or you can have a more traditional kind of sink spout on that high-rise faucet. If I'm just going to be annoying about this more than normal, I get that my voice is annoying, I kind of just wish that shelf wasn't there, so I just had a large spot for a trash can, like a wastebasket. I personally think that would be really helpful and really useful. Although I think I could probably work around that by just putting a wastebasket to the left of the countertop, to the left of the sink. You just got to make sure you slide it out of the way when you close the slide out. Now, one thing about having no oven it creates an extra large storage compartment right there. Wait a minute. Um, if you look at the whole oven, well, lack of oven storage compartment area, and then you look at the stovetop above it, doesn't it sort of look like some weird four-eyed creature from Monsters Inc? Like Mike Wazowski. All right, sorry. Let me focus a little bit. Moving up here, we do have that TV can pivot around. It can actually pivot a little more aggressively. So if you do want to be able to sit on the rear sofa and watch TV, it's actually not the worst experience in the world. It's not direct facing. I'm not trying to cheese it. I'm just letting you know it could be worse. Little key hooks right by the door. You'll see a couple more similar hooks like that in the bathroom to hold some towels. Sometimes it doesn't have to be over the top amazing. Sometimes it kind of just has to work. And that's functional, smart content right there. This is a walk-through middle bathroom. When a lot of walk-through middle bathrooms first started to really become popular, as made popular largely by the Grand Design Imagine family, and then it kind of trickled through the rest of the industry quite a bit. I didn't love them. My throat made a weird noise right there when I breathed. Okay, what is up with stuff like that? You're like, I'm just trying to breathe. Why's my throat got to get weird? Anyway, I came around on walk-through middle baths on couples models. On a family camper like this, it's not necessarily my favorite, but if you notice here, what it does allow us to do around that porcelain foot flush stool is have a lot of room. And what this bathroom is allowing us to do is to basically shave about 1.5 feet off of the length of this camper. It's just a very space-effective design that still gives you a large bathroom without adding additional length to the RV. Now, with the taller ceiling, you saw how I can easily stand up in that shower. I'm a little over 6 foot myself, plus shoes and hat. And this is something that the whole like Surveyor, R-Pod, Ibex, Nobo family has adopted that I'm glad to see is that 4-speed high powered exhaust vent fan right there. I've never met a person who doesn't generally like having one of those. Now, we're looking at a really key optional piece of equipment here. Ibex now, when you go to a private bedroom, has the ability to have an optional second air conditioner up here. That's absolutely not, like, you'll definitely want to double check on that. I suspect your like Texas and Arizona type super screaming hot sun country dealers, they're probably going to order it with the 50 amp and the second air, but I really want you to know that what you see in person could vary a little bit from what's in stock at a lot of dealerships, because I know not everyone's shopping exclusively with Bish's RV. Their underbed storage arrangement, I think, is also pretty cool. You've got the quadruple dresser drawers that pop out, but if you have some I don't use it every day stuff, but I kind of want to have it available, there's also still a sort of kind of hideaway foot locker available down here. Now, in addition to the 4 dresser drawers below the bed, you've got 4 more dresser drawers, 2 on each side, below each of the hanging wardrobe towers, plus a deceptively good and deep overhead cabinet. Now, real quick, I do want you to know that there are some TV hookups up here over on the sidewall, because the door in front of the bed is a sliding door instead of a hard fixed wall. They have to go with the TV hookup in a weird position. But the thing is, very few people really tend to use those. Before I forget, that bed that we looked at, that was a 60 by 80 True Queen, by the way. That's pretty much all you're going to find in the Ibex family are True Queen beds. And something else, let me get this bed out of the way. There we go. Something else I've failed to mention so far is that you do have the blackout roller shades on all the windows here. I also really like the front headboard power pocket kind of situation station here, where you've got the 2 levels of it. Now you see that little black bracket sticking out. There's another blackout roller shade there for that front window above the bed, but you can make sure you can lock that roller shade in place so it's not dangling above your head all the time. And there are some power outlets hidden around the corners over there. So you've got, again, pretty much anywhere you sit or sleep, some really handy power solutions. I think they've executed that very well. The thing is, just speaking from experience and eyeballing it, something I can tell you is we are about to witness something that I refer to as 2-stage travel access. And what I mean by that is you can get to basically everything in this camper. You can get to the fridge, you can get to the kitchen, you can get to all the sleeping and the bathroom without ever touching the slide button. But you have to use both entry doors to accomplish that. Some people don't like that. And I get it. I'm not saying that this is A+ perfect travel access. And by the way, if you appreciate that I actually take the time to show the RVs with the slides closed, do me a favor, just let me know that you appreciate that, because you'd be surprised how much extra time showing you all the storage and the what I call road mode access like this takes. It almost doubles the total time that I spend on RVs for some very small segments of these RVs. But here's another benefit of the second entry door. And by the way, if you're spooked by the bedroom door, some people are like, I feel like someone's going to walk in on top of me. Remember that you do have a deadbolt here. And remember that you have an entry door with the same deadbolt right back there next to your kids. So I don't know. I feel like if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me, is kind of how I look at it. The other reason I like this is if my daughter wants to go to bed early, my wife and I want to stay up a little bit later, hang around the campfire, chew the fat, shoot the breeze. This gives us a second come and go door, not to mention the travel stop door to be able to get to the bathroom, because I don't know what it is about kids. Raise your hand if this has ever happened to you. You pass the last exit on the highway, the next gas station, rest stop, or whatever bathroom isn't for 499 miles. And what happens as soon as you pass the exit? Your kid goes, I got a potty. Anybody else have that happen? To be fair, it wasn't my kid. It's usually me that does that. Now, anytime I start getting into something like this, the golden question, is it half-ton towable, comes into the conversation. The answer is it depends. It's going to depend on the specific capacities of your truck as well as where you are taking it. When we have something that's 32 feet like this, it starts to feel like I don't know that I love it paired up necessarily with a lot of half tons. There might be some that are kind of up to the job. I know that there are some people like, full send, brother. I'm a little more conservative than that. If you're going to go through mountain towing scenarios, that might be a little bit of an ask. I do think almost any 3/4 ton is going to very comfortably yank this around. And if you're going to stay flatland and local, a heavier late model tow package half ton could probably get the job done. I got to say, this is my personal 2 cents. It's very subjective. This is the best looking generation of Ibex I've ever seen. When they first came out, they had this crazy cerulean turquoise neon Tron kind of lighting, or not lighting, but graphics package. It looked like something out of a 90s arcade cabinet, which, don't get me wrong, I actually kind of like that, given the generation that I am. This looks, though, very sharp and very modern. I love the little subtle nod to the mountains and the graphics in the middle of the RV. It's just there's a refinement here that was not present before. Again, though, there's going to be good things and bad things, and I want to try to treat all these things as fairly as possible so that you know what you're getting into. Power tongue jack, double propane tanks, 20-pounders, by the way, pretty standard fare. I like the little doggy leash latch up front. Battery disconnect up here, and that yellow antenna job, that is your relay, basically, for your tire pressure monitoring system, which will be factory standard here. Now, we're going to talk more about tires and suspension when we get back, but I want you to know that the lowest level of tire package you get on any Ibex is at least like an all-terrain tire, so a heavier grade tire than what a lot of the industry runs on. I like the Magna holdbacks and the slam latches on all exterior baggage compartments. USB plugs like Type-C even inside and out. You see that welded aluminum cage underbelly. The motion lighting on both sides of the pass-through, there's just some really nice touches here. They look really sharp and smexy. I don't personally love the glass entry doors just because I've put my hands on those things when they've been sitting in direct sunlight all day, and they'll take your fingerprints off like when Will Smith joined the Men in Black and lost his fingerprints. Although I am loving the awning space on this one, clearing both entry doors with room to spare. Like, that's some awesome content. I don't love the outside speakers being practically mounted up on the roof, but hey, we can't have everything. And again, that's just my personal opinion. I'm not an authority. That doesn't make it a bad feature. It's just my personal 2 cents. A speaker's not going to stop me from getting a camper, though. The griddle situation station that we have going on, factory standard over here, right next to our tankless on-demand water heater, and that is a hot-cold outside utility shower and sprayer. Now, one of the important things to mention is that every Ibex model is available with their beast mode package, which is so much more than just suspension. First of all, what the beast mode package will do is upgrade you to an even heavier grade tire, as well as their four-wheel true off-road independent suspension package. You also pick up the Max Air vent cover, as well as additional solar and a factory inverter and a Max Air vent cover over that XL bathroom vent fan. So that's a really awesome package. That's something that if I was getting one of these, I would personally like. But if you're just a park pavement princess, you don't need that. The thing is, I don't, I don't mean to offend anybody. I consider myself a park pavement princess, but I would still rather have that package. And I'll tell you why. If you want to keep your RV out of the shop, one of the best things you can do is get an RV with a better suspension package. And it's my personal 2 cents, but in the world of travel trailers, I am aware of nothing that rides and handles better, based on my experience, than that trailing arm suspension package. It is absolutely awesome. I've personally towed trailers with all kinds of different suspension packages, and that was one of the smoothest, best rides and experiences of my life. And I know we've already moved on past it from the video, but how about that second full pass-through compartment in the back under the bunks there? That's what I call junk in the trunk storage. Now, you do have a cargo receiver hitch on the back, 300-pound rated. You might need to move that spare tire left or right. Just make sure that you're not covering the tail lights. You might have noticed how we are ladder prepped. This does have a fully walkable roof. It is a PVC roof membrane, which carries a lot of basically reduced maintenance benefits with it. And this floor plan rides on a rack and pinion slide system. Now, there's a couple things that have kind of confused me a little bit on Ibex, is that it seems somewhat arbitrary. Some of the models ride on this rack and pinion slide system, and some of them have a Schwintek, and I don't necessarily know why they made that decision. Ooh, hold on. Where are my tank hookups? Okay. So here we have, yes, this floor plan gives us everything all in one. Kitchen, bathroom, everything, singular sewer outlet simplicity right there. That's one of those things, if you've never camped, it's not that it's impossible to work around a dual sewer hookup. I've done it. It wasn't really that big of a deal, but it was one more thing that I had to think about and manage and solve for that this floor plan organically eliminates. I'm telling you, compared to what they were doing, I'm impressed with what I see here. So what do you think about the new generation of Ibex here? Like I said, this is not at all like anything they were doing. The floor plans are unique from their other sister products. I think they're finally creating a really fun, unique area for themselves where they've never really existed before. But that's my 2 cents. The thing is, like, I see the same thing all day, every day. So when I get to see something new, it kind of excites me. So I don't know, maybe that's just my perspective. In the meantime, if you're curious or serious about how much one of these runs, double check our links in the video description where you can see pricing and availability at any time. And hey, if you want to learn more when you're ready, we're ready. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.